Just a few words can position you instantly to be one of the top choices. And that's really what a brand identifier does. It's a first impression. It sets you apart from the very beginning.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand.
We've been asked a lot, what's a brand identifier? And why is it critical to your personal branding success? Well, we know what that is, mostly because we created the term. And we're going to tell you what that is today and talk a little bit about why it's really critical that you have a brand identifier and the 3 reasons you should have one. Let's do it. Okay, so first of all, let's kind of define it, right? It's a slogan or a tagline, right? And we'll just start there, but I'm going to paint some scenarios for you first so that you can kind of get in your mind why this is so important. So let's start with this. Let's assume you're walking past a bakery window and you see this incredible cake in the window. It's shaped like a castle, has a moat around it, surrounded by knights in armor, awesome horses, everything, right? That gets your attention. Yet you don't know why this cake is in the window or who it was baked for. All you know at this point is it looks very different from a typical wedding or birthday cakes that are alongside it in the window. And you just had to stop and look. That's one scenario.
Here's another one. You're buying a TV and you're specifically looking for a smart TV, but you go to the store and all of the boxes on the shelf pretty much look exactly the same. A photo of a TV, the measurements, included components, etc. But one box has the words smart TV in huge letters and says connect any device. Well, that gets you past one step of what you wanted. And of course, since it says that what's on the box, it's one of the first things that you explore a little bit more, meaning it's among your top choices that already, just because of a few words.
That's right. Okay, so those are real life situations, right? And what does that have to do with branding or brand identifiers? Well, we show you just how important a first impression is. And that's really what a brand identifier does. It's a first impression. So in the case of the smart TV, just a few words can position you instantly to be one of the top choices, right? And in the case of the cake, well, it's how much image matters to you. You're drawn to them both because, well, one is unique, as in the cake. The other one just fits because it's what you're looking for, right? And that's the job of a great brand identifier.
Yeah, technically, a brand identifier is a tagline or a slogan. So you may be familiar with that. And what that does is it sets the tone and direction for your personal brand. Okay. It should be the leader. And if you want to look at it like this, it's the book cover. We talk about it. Tonya uses this analogy all the time. It's the cover of the book that gets you to stop and open the book and try to explore a little bit more into it. The identifier, the attention getting identifier on the cover, because it's the first thing that you see and it gets you to stop and pause for a minute and pay attention to it. It either captures your interest or it doesn't. And that's why it is so important that you get it right.
So in other words, your brand identifier should state who you are or what you stand for. And it truly is one of the things that sets you apart from the very beginning. So that's another thing that a brand identifier does, is it truly sets you apart. And that's what we want to talk about today, are these 3 things. Okay. So number 1, it sets the tone and direction for your brand. Lets people know, hey, this is what I stand for. It provides what we call the guardrails for your brand and your marketing. Number 2, it sets you apart from the very beginning. The cake in the window, right? The few words on the box that let them know, hey, this is kind of like what I'm looking for. And number 3, it begins to attract and narrow down exactly who it is you want to do business with. Because we've said many times, if you try to do business with everyone, all you're going to do is work yourself right out of business, right? So this helps you narrow down, in other words, that person walking past the cake window or walking past the aisle of TVs, it says to them, I want to go in that direction. That's what I'm looking for. Or that's unique. It caught my attention. So from the word go, at the very least, you're in the running.
Yep. Here's another story to put this into perspective for you. And we got this from one of our favorite guys, Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, which is a perfect example of a brand identifier and what it's all about. He talks about American auto execs who go and visit a Japanese auto assembly line. And one of the last things that happens on the car assembly line is the doors are put on, okay, in either country in the way that they build. The American executives knew that in America, one person had to have the job of running a rubber mallet and tapping the doors to align them so where they open and close perfectly, right, to make sure it's a perfect fit. But on the Japanese assembly line, there was no such person doing that. So the Americans asked the Japanese execs, at what point do you make sure that the doors fit properly? And the Japanese executive just smiled and said, we do that at design. So we do that at engineering. We figure that out beforehand, right? And so in other words, in the planning phase, you defining yourself and really putting the thought into that for your brand identifier is at the very beginning is so unbelievably important. A brand identifier gives you that initial alignment to what customers are thinking and gets them to stop. And you got to put that pre-thought into it to make sure that it works.
And I'll tell you one more story, before we close out today and kind of summarize everything. Think about the term brand face. So when I was trying to figure out, okay, what is the name of BrandFace, started out as a book, not and then became a business very shortly after the first book came out. But I thought, okay, what am I trying to accomplish here? And I knew this long, common thread throughout my entire career. I had a passion for helping people become the best face of their business. If you know my story, I started selling vacuum cleaners door to door. That led to a job in the radio world, and I stayed in the media world for 18 years after that. And I began to see that the most successful people in any market that I was in were the face and the voice of their business. They were the spokesperson, if you will. Mm-hmm. They were the brand face. So a lot of people will see our logo even today, just the logo that says kind of what we do, right? And that kind of lets them know, brand face. I'm the face of my brand. Wow, maybe I should look into this a little bit further. Mm-hmm. So think of, as you begin to develop your own personal brands, begin to think of, what does that say about you? Not just the name of your business. That was a unique story there to go with that. But our personal brands. My brand identifier is branding agent to business stars. Says what it is. I'm an agent that helps people brand themselves to turn themselves into a business star. Yep. And so that's really what that's all about. So that's my own brand identifier. And I thought maybe that little story would kind of connect with you.
It'll help you connect. More. My brand identifier is I'm the abundant life broker because I own a real estate company. And my entire existence is helping real estate agents that work for me become successful at what they do, as well as every brand face client in every genre of entrepreneurialism that we help represent. All right. So, hey, folks, listen, if you'd like to discuss your brand and the freedom that brand is going to bring to you when you build it out and let it get to work with you, call us up at discussyourbrand.com. It's a free 30-minute session with us. You can meet with one of our team members, possibly even get us on the phone. Sometimes we take calls because we like to stay connected to that. Discussyourbrand.com, and let's get you started, or just at least have a discussion about what branding is.
Absolutely. And if you like what you heard today, if you like this topic, well, we encourage you to like it, love it, share it, and ding, subscribe so you can be the first one to know when a new video like this comes out. Okay. We appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Listen, it's all about prosperity. And here at BrandFace, we know prosperity favors the bold. So we say be bold, especially with your brand. Thank you, guys.
Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.